Okay, in this next section, we're going to talk about extracting substrings. And again, we've kind of touched on that. It's actually taking a string and actually pulling pieces out of it. We saw where we can do a search for a specific piece within there. But let's say I've got a string of data and I want to just pull out a certain field. So here I have, again, this is part of the string class. So these are built-in methods within the string class. So we have string substring, so it's returning a string, and a method is called substring, and we've got int start. So basically that is the starting position of where you want to pull out that particular string. And so if I start in position 4, it's going to go from 4 to the very end of that string and pull that much out. So as you can see, we have another substring method. That means it's overloaded, so it has two different signatures. We've got int, and this one has int. So if you have two ints, we've got a starting position and an ending position, which means I can have a starting position on position 3 and end on position 8, and it'll grab just that string of data. We've got void get chars. So this one here is void, which means it returns nothing, but it says get chars and it says int start. And so this method extracts a substring from the calling object and stores it in the char array. Okay, so char array is kind of cool that it is basically a string of data that is an array. So each character is an element. Okay, so it extracts a substring from the calling object and stores it to a char array. The argument passes into the start and the string starting position, and the argument passed into the end of the substring's ending position. The character at the start position included the substring, but the character at the end position is not included. So if I have a starting position of 1 and an ending position of 10, it will grab 1 through 9. It will not grab 10. The last character of the substring ends at -1. So once it hits -1, which means it's at the end, basically we know that if we are going through this array in a loop, we know when we hit -1, we are done. The characters in the substring are stored in elements of the array that pass in the array parameter, the array start parameter. Okay, then we have char, and there we can see. So here, well, let's go back to the first one there. It says get chars, int start, int end. We've discussed that. Then I've got char array and int array start. The int array start specifies a starting subscript within the array where the character is to be stored. So if I had an existing char array, I could tell it where I want it to basically go within the current array. And then I've got char array to char array. This method returns the characters of the calling object as a char array. So there we kind of get a quick overview of what they look like. Let's go ahead and take a look at some code. And I believe we have the string analyzer. So if we look at the string analyzer, there we can see it's a void main. We know what that is. So I've got string input char. Notice this is an empty array and it says array. We have not initialized it. We've not instantiated it, so it's just sitting there. We don't know how many elements or what type of stuff's going to go in there. We know they're going to be chars. So we have int letters equals 0, int digits equals 0, int white spaces equals 0. And then I say enter a string, we throw it into a J option pane. And then I say array is equal to input.toChar array. So whatever I type in the input is going to be thrown into this array, which is one char at a time. So pretty powerful. I got a big long string of data. Now I can go through that one character at a time via an array. And then I come in and say for int I equals 0, so I'm initializing my counter. And while the I is less than the array length, at the end of every loop I add one to it. I say if the character, so here we are back to the character wrapper class, is letter array I, so whatever position array I is, I go ahead and add one to letters. Else if the character is a digit, at that position, add the digits, else if it's a white space, add it to white space. So I can actually look at each and every character and tell you how many letters, how many numbers, and how many white spaces, whether it's a space, a tab, or a new line. So I come in and say the string contains blah, 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 blah. Okay, so if I run this, JAption pane is going to pop up, and I'm going to type in a string. Okay, so I click on it, it comes up, says there are 18 letters, 2 digits, and 4 white space characters. So pretty cool, pretty neat stuff. So again, I create an array, a char array, and then I say input.toChar array, because input is a string and toChar array is a method of a string class. So pretty cool stuff there, not too bad. Okay, now we then get into methods that return a modified string. So now we're going to have a method that returns something of that string. So here we have a string, so it's going to return a string, and we say concat string stir. So we pass in a string and we get back a string, and it's got concat. This method returns a copy of the calling string object with the contents of string concatenated to it. Okay. And then I say string replace, so it's returning a string. We've got replace, and it has two elements, which is a char called old char and char new char. Old char new char. I can kind of see a replacement here, which is obviously the name. So this method returns a copy of the calling string object in which all the occurrences of the character passed in the old char have been replaced by the character passed into the new char. So if I said replace all the R's with S's, I would basically have the old char of R, new char of S, and then basically one would wipe over the other one. And then trim. Now this is a it's a great one, especially when you're getting data from your user. This method returns a copy of the calling string object, so itself, and it removes all leading spaces and any trailing spaces. So when we get done, it butts it right up. So if I had a space, space, space letter, boom, 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 and then another space, 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 when it gets returned, all those spaces in the beginning and the end are removed. Okay? So, do we have a nice example here? Well, okay, let's talk about value of. So the string class has several overloaded versions of the method called value of. So value of has a lot of overloading going on there. So following code demonstrates several of these methods. So here we got a boolean, a char array, a double, and an int. And it says system out println string value of b. So b is true. String.value of letters, string.value of letters 1, 2, string.value of d, string.value of I. Okay, so value of a boolean, what's it going to return? Value of a letter, in this case, is an array. Value of letters 1, 3. Ooh, what's that do? And then a double, string.value of d, which is a double, and string.value of I, which is an integer. So if we take a look here, well, let's take a look. It's going to return true, the word true, A, B, C, D, E, and then just B, C, D, because there's 0, 1, 2, 3, so there's a 1, 3, so starting position 1, ending position 3. So value of boolean, it's going to return either true or false, the actual phrase true or false. Value of char, it will actually convert that into a string and return that letter or space, wherever the case may be. Value of an array, this will return the entire array. Value of char array starting and ending position, same thing. Value of a double, again, converts a double into a string and returns that. Value of an int, value of a long, again, same basic value. Okay, so pretty cool stuff there. Lets you kind of take this one thing and convert it into another. Do we have a good example? Apparently not. Okay, So next one you have, now this is a great thing called a string builder, and it's a class. And the string builder is very powerful, and we'll see here in a little bit. But it does have three constructors, okay? And the first one is a no-arg constructor, and it basically accepts no arguments. It gives the object enough storage space to hold 16 characters, but no characters are stored in it. Okay, so it just kind of initializes it, say, here's a container of 16, but I've put nothing in it. I've got string builder int length. This constructor gives the object enough storage space to hold the length of characters. If I type 24, I've now created a container of 24 characters. String builder string str str. So we're basically passing in a string. This constructor initializes the object with the string of str. The object's initial storage space will be the length of the string plus 16. So we always give you 16 more characters of storage. So, other string builder methods. The string builder class provides many of the same methods as a string class, but it has several other methods as well. Methods that are common with the string and string builder are char, void, int, string. Okay, so a lot of different things there. We do have an appends method. That sounds pretty cool because we can take one string and append it to the end of another string. So here we have an example, object.append item. So here we have an object, we're going to append item. So we take the object, we go ahead and take whatever item is and append it to the end. Just copy and paste it to the very end. So here we have string builder, string new, string builder. So we basically have a 16 character str. And then we say append, we sold, space, to the str. So it goes ahead and takes and puts the value. So there's basically nothing there. It's got 16 spaces, but since they're all null, it puts it at the very beginning. So it puts it here at the beginning. It says we sold and then a space. And then I say a string append 12. Well, what do you think it's going to do there? It's an integer, converts it to a string and puts it after the space. And it says spring append donut space donuts sold donuts for $. It puts that. So now we have we sold space 12 space donuts for $. And then I have string append 1595. So it takes that 1595 and appends it to the very end, which is a double. And basically then it says we sold 12 donuts for $15.95. Okay. The insert method does basically the same thing, except now we're going to insert it at a certain position. Okay, so we have string builder, we got new city. Okay, and then I say insert on position 4. So here's 0, 1, 2, 3. So the space is 3. It's going to insert it after position 3, which is York space. So it's going to end up saying New York City and having spaces between them. Replace method, just like the insert, except it replaces verbiage. In this case, we have object.replace, start, end, and string. So here we tell it, say, string builder string equals new string builder. Again, we're instantiate, we have to have the new. We move from Chicago to Atlanta, and we place position 14 through 21, New York. Okay, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and it looks like it's going to then replace Chicago with New York. So it's going to say we move from New York to Atlanta. Okay. Here we have the delete char at, set char at. So here we have string builder delete int start int end. So we can actually take the starting position, any position, cut those out. String char at. So we can say just delete this char, one position, at a certain position, set char at, so there we can go ahead and take a char and insert it. I'm sorry, replaces. So we have a char at this position and replaces that with this. So we're setting this char at this position. I don't care what's there. Over